Hey there, this is part two of the myth software development myth video. I had to end the other one rather abruptly because I was getting close to the 10-minute mark, and I think LinkedIn has this 10-minute limit on the length of the videos. I think I left the last myth I discussed there was having an enviable title, and I don't know if I completed that myth necessarily, but here is the completion, the last part of it, right? The if you have a cool title, that's great, but sometimes your titles tend to be cooler. Our titles tend to be cooler than what we might actually be doing. I know people I'm connected to on LinkedIn who have really cool titles, and sometimes I wonder if their work is as cool as their titles are. Maybe not, right? But again, the title literally means nothing, right? It means nothing as long as you understand. When someone's presenting a problem or a project to you, you try to understand what it entails, what your role is going to be in that project, how what freedoms you might have or may not have in being able to execute on that project and the problem. All of that means a whole lot more than your title, right? You could give someone a title, call them rock star, and then give them something that's really boring to do. Now, did the title really mean anything? I don't think so, right? So I think, the world has come to a point where I don't know, I could be wrong. I've never had a fancy title, so you could call me a sore loser or whatever, but I've not looked or chased these titles ever in my career, right? So don't, just because someone has a cool title doesn't mean they're doing really cool stuff. So if you don't have a cool title, don't sell yourself short. It's what you do and what you know and what you can solve that matters, not your title. The next one is having a number of direct reports. One more time, it's not my cup of tea. I've not chosen that path in my career. Even at Snowpile, I work with a lot of people. As the team size changes all the time, but I don't see any of them as direct reports because they are not, right. People, we don't work for each other. We work with each other, right? So I need my team's help as much as they need me, right? There's no, to be honest, it's the other way around, right? I need them a whole lot more than they need me. I'm sure with the skills that they have and the skills that we constantly, the complexity of problems we solve at Snowpal, I know anyone who works with us here can find work very easily, right? It's not going to be difficult at all. So if they still stick around, it means they're doing you a favor. So and I tell this to everybody who works with me, right? I really appreciate that their time and help and effort and enthusiasm and passion. The number of direct reports someone has, maybe it makes some people feel cool and nice about it, and for the rest of us, we don't care. Honestly, don't care. It's more cumbersome dealing with people than machines, and if it's too many people, it's probably a lot more effort. You need someone dedicated to dealing with people, right? So anyway, so the myth is the more people report to you, the more important you are. Sad to tell you that maybe that's not the case, right? Okay, the next item is being called to a number of meetings. Now, I've seen this, like people take pride in actually being part of meetings. I mean, I don't know why, but I guess I know why. It's just human nature. The more meetings you're in, the more important you believe you actually are, because people want you in these meetings, right? But I don't know. Sometimes you have too many people in there are too many meetings to begin with, and there are too many people in each of those meetings, right? So it just makes matters worse. Most of my work, I've had fewer meetings, and the problem is people like me are in meetings. I'm chatty, so I never end the call, right? It doesn't help the cause at all. So if I'm working with you, you want to make sure that I'm in the least number of meetings. I like it that way as well. Like in my current project, I have like a meeting a week, or maybe a couple of meetings, and maybe all of them put together is like less than an hour, way less than an hour, right? So you have all of the time to actually getting the work done, then talking about getting it done. But sometimes you like your coworkers, you enjoy it, and I've had that problem of actually liking my coworkers a lot, and then you end up having these conversations. But as long as it's not official, right? If you're just doing it outside of work hours, that's fine. I mean, you can chat all you want, but you don't want to spend too much of your actual core hours in meeting times. So the more meetings you have, the more meetings you have to hop to. It might sound like make you feel like you're important, but are you really that important? Do you really enjoy being in that meeting, or could the meeting's outcome have been any different had you not shown up at that meeting? You want to ask yourself these questions, right? So the myth here is just because you are in every meeting that you can possibly be does not necessarily mean your work is more important than someone else's, right? That's a myth. Okay, the next one is being CC'd or copied on plenty of emails. This is probably was more applicable in the past than today. I can't remember the last time I had to check an email at work. It's been probably a decade or so ago, right? But I know there are projects where people still use emails, right? It's still not dead and out. So, but this again may or may not resonate as much today. But it does remind me, like sometimes, people are copied in a lot of emails for every conversation, and you have 1,000 emails when you wake up, you feel like you're very important. I don't think so, right? I wake up to mornings where I have like 0 emails, but I still think the work that we do is no less important. It's more important, if anything, if I should, right? So I think the number of emails and the number of emails you're copied on means nothing. It just means more red tapes, right? So if you see yourself copied in too many emails, then maybe there is a process problem that you actually need to fix. The next myth is working at a facility that looks very cool and hip. Right now, this is actually important. That I've worked most of my career remotely, but I actually have gone to work. Right, the first 5 years of my work life. They were reasonable buildings. Some were better than others, but nothing was fancy. Right, nothing like you'd see. Like sometimes you see photos on LinkedIn where the place looks really, really cool. To me, the coolest place is space that you feel comfortable in. It could be this breakfast nook with my plant at the back, or my office. There's nothing fancy about it, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the peace and quiet. It lets me think. It gives me the ability to process and write complicated logic and make sure I write code or architect something that's not buggy and it stands the test of time in production. And if you don't trust me, definitely check out snowpile.com or download our app from the App and Play Store, and you tell me what you think, right? It's got a lot of features, and it's pretty stable, and it's because you have the space gave you the freedom and the ability to think and to process and to execute. That's what matters. What doesn't matter is you're standing on like marble floors with beautiful chandeliers and lovely looking pods. And I mean, we have a product as a feature called pods, but the pod here I'm talking about here is like those pods where you can lock yourself in, or a tiny little thing where you can sit in office spaces, I think in co-working spaces and whatnot. Now that's all great, but if I have to it takes me an hour to get there to enjoy this beautiful facility. That's a waste of time, right? So I think just because somebody is working in a building that looks very cool, in a city, in a town, in a street, in a neighborhood, and whatever, doesn't make it any more important, right? Maybe their work is probably boring, right? Maybe the building is actually the coolest thing about what they do. So just because you're in a space that's not very pretty or attractive, or if you end up working in your apartment and you just have an alrighty apartment, don't feel bad about it, right? Doesn't matter if you're able to think and process and you feel like you're able to produce good code in that space, then that's the perfect space. The next myth is working in a fast-paced environment. Oh my god, I'm going to hit the 10-minute mark on the second video as well. Jeez. Okay, so working in a fast-paced environment with Pat. So what I mean by that is sometimes when you talk to companies or clients or hiring managers, you get the impression that the place they got a lot of money, they have a lot of funding, or they are public and they have a lot of money to invest in this project, and you feel, I mean, it's nice because they have all the money, but aggression is not the right word. I'm just looking for the right word, but I can't seem to find that right word. It's you feel like you might be in a pressure cooker, right? And that means it could mean many things. One, it could mean that they're building really, really cool stuff. It could be working at Tesla and maybe it's a pressure cooker. I don't know. That's what I read. Or it's just the culture and the team could create the pressure, perhaps even unnecessarily. So the use of the word fast-paced, the term fast-paced, might mean many things. It hasn't always meant it hasn't always had a positive connotation as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to hit the 10-minute here as well. Sorry, this is video number 2. Let me pick it up in the third one. Thank you.